Penn State, a 55-10 winner over Rutgers at SHI Stadium. We don't know what that stands for, but we're here on the field. I'm Greg Pickel. That's Nate Bauer from Blue White Illustrated. Penn State wins its 9th game of the season. James Franklin gets his 100th career coaching victory as a head coach. Nate, it was a little painful at the start, but it turned out to be about as painless of a win for Penn State as you could hope at this point of the season against a team they were simply overmatched. They overmatched.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was all painful from the press box.
Fair.
At
Least we weren't down here on the field.
That's true. It's cold. It was a little bit windy earlier. No, but look, obviously Penn State's offense was not clicking at the start.
Right.
Penn State's defense wasn't really on the same page at the start. They had to kind of get through the first quarter.
Yeah.
And I think that, kind of surveying the players afterwards, they talked about it, and James Franklin talked about it. And a lot of times these things sound like lip service,
right.
But when they say that Rutgers is a tough football team, they're not saying necessarily that they're hard to beat
right.
from a schematic standpoint. Or
right.
Penn State just has better players. I think that we saw that.
Right.
But no, they're tough because they're going to knock you on your butt. Like they're tough, like they just are. And so I think that Penn State had to work through that in the first quarter and simultaneously had the edge that came through a little bit with Nick Singleton running back that first touchdown. And then you saw the floodgates open with the Kobe King touchdown return on the fumble, right? The defense sparked those things and kept it going to the point where it just you knew at that point it wasn't going to be competitive anymore.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Penn State obviously kicked away for good in the second half. Ji'Ayir Brown gets a fumble 6 as well in his home state. Penn State scores 3 different ways, offense, defense, and special teams en route to blowing out Rutgers. I mean, I just don't know how much you want to take away from this game, quite frankly. You look at this Rutgers team, I agree with you. They fight, but I mean, they just have no quarterback play. They just don't have a whole lot of weapons across the field. But, if you're Penn State, there's been a lot of Big Ten teams, and if you watched any football today, you saw them. They can play lesser opponents and kind of get caught sleepwalking a little bit or get caught in more of a game than they expect, especially on the road. And they have to find ways to pull it out at the end. Penn State, for the entire month of November, has not had to do that. It's been one blowout after another. We'll see next week against Michigan State. But, Nate, all told, it's a good win for Penn State. They get Curtis Jacobs back. We don't know Olu Fashanu's status. We do not yet know Parker Washington's status. James Franklin said he'll make an announcement about that on Tuesday. So stay tuned to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com for that. But I'll give you the final word here as we wrap things up and get back into the warmth.
Yeah, I mean, look, with Parker, let's all read between the lines. Let's be honest about that. When James Franklin makes an announcement, when he describes it as wanting to make sure everyone is on the same page, that means, hey, Parker, I'm going to announce your season-ending injury, in front of the public on Tuesday. So I you know what I mean? Like, it just
it's been consistent. Right?
I just think it defies rational people, right? I mean, we're all adults here. We can have this conversation. So that's kind of the first thing. Olu Fashanu, this is a banged up team. I mean, I think that James Franklin touched on that in the postgame, and it demands attention that not only is Penn State winning these games, but it's doing so with less than its full, right? I mean, you see some comments, you see people talking a little bit about the offensive line maybe taking a step back.
Right.
It's not the offensive line anymore. It's not the same group. You've lost players. Caden Wallace again not playing today.
Even though he was here, right?
Even though he was here. Olu Fashanu, obviously, Landon Tengwall, you're missing 3 starters from your offensive line. And so, yeah, it just depends on your perspective, right? Are there silver linings that are happening in front of your eyes? Right. Which is kind of how I take it, is seeing all of the depth, all of the development that Penn State has behind the starters that are starting to come through, get valuable reps, and play. We didn't talk about Ji'Ayir, but he gets a whole quarter of work, right?
And got crushed a couple of times. I don't think that was necessarily part of the plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You have these conversations, but do you really want him in that situation? Yeah, everybody's clamoring, get Drew into the game. Oh no! Get him out of the game! No! Can you put that guy at risk? Right. So, no, it's just, look, this is the season that Penn State has had. They obviously did not pass the 2 big tests that they had against Ohio State and Michigan, but a lot to be said. I think, for being able to manage, handle, and get through the rest of these games the way that they had. And, we'll see what happens next week.
A 10-win season is on the line for Penn State. It is senior day at Beaver Stadium. As we record this late Saturday night, a kick time has not been announced. So stay tuned to BlueWhiteIllustrated.com for that news. We want to wish everyone an early happy Thanksgiving. For Nate Bauer, I'm Greg Pickel. We are leaving SHI Stadium, and Penn State did too as a winner, 55-10. We'll catch you next week. YouTube.com/BlueWhiteIllustrated, wherever you get your podcast, and BlueWhiteIllustrated.com.